Hello and welcome to this episode of Open Social Media Initiative. Today I have the honor of having my friend Ray Hiltz teach us about Google Plus proper practices. Ray is kind of the go-to guy, guru for our Google Plus questions in the OpenSM community.
She called me a guru. Oh no. I'm going to have hate mail.
It's a good thing. And I think he got his hands twisted by enough people in our community that he finally honored us with his presence, because usually Fridays, I hear, is Ray's busiest day. Yeah. So today Ray is going to give a presentation and will answer questions. So if you could jot down specific questions that you have during his presentation, and then after his talk, we'll open it to discussions. So I'm going to switch the screen to Ray. And Ray, if you could tell us a little bit about your background and let us know, people who don't know you, there are not too many people on Google Plus that don't know you, but those who don't, let us know who you are and
okay, well, thanks, Sherry, and hi, everybody on the panel. Most of you have said, I just met Joseph today, everyone else I know. So Ray Hiltz, Nouraini is my brand, and I've been on Google Plus almost since it started. And what I do is, for a living, is I work with companies and entrepreneurs and other consultants and agencies on social strategy with a specialty in Google Plus, because I am so plussed about it. So anyway, today what I want to do is trying to rip through a presentation, because I'm not a big fan of presentations in general. I like discussions much better. But this deck is going to be basically a talking point. And what you can do is if you see a slide go by, and you have questions for, maybe just jot down the title of the slide or whatever, and we'll go back to it. But as I said, I'm going to give you an overview of Google Plus. It's called I'm on Google Plus What Now? So you're here, so I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of reasons why you should be here, other than maybe some strategies and pointing out some strengths that Google Plus has, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a screen share over to my deck. So bear with me 1 second, make sure hopefully this works. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So you're on Google Plus. Now what? So the first thing you do, I mean, is like any other social platform. I mean, social media is a media. It's a line of communication. It's not an end in and of itself. There are reasons you use different platforms, and every time you decide which platform you want to use, make sure it's aligned with your business goals. And as this is like business 101, make sure your goals are smart. Make sure that they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And this is applicable also to social strategy. And in Google Plus, you know, why are you on Google Plus? Make sure that if the reasons you are on Google Plus are easily measured, whatever KPIs you want, whether it's a level of engagement, number of people who circle you, lead conversions. You decide that, set them in place, make sure they're realistic, and then make sure you set a date. For instance, before you start your Google Plus page, make sure you have some posts on there, make sure your profile is filled, and we'll go into those details a bit later. So Google Plus for me is the place to connect, collaborate, and build community because it's so content friendly, and content marketing is so important everywhere, whether it's advertising, marketing, whatever company you're in, you have to push content. And Google Plus, because it's indexed by Google, is really great for providing you SEO juice to do that. So know why you're at Google Plus. Well, the SEO benefits is the one that I usually open the door with because people want to be found. And with authorship and content, that is authorship, more Penguin, Panda, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not an SEO specialist, but I do know that more and more emphasis is based on the content and less so on the links. Social networking, you have access to your market. As a business page, you can circle anybody you want. You can leave comments, you can interact, you can engage with anyone you want. There is no edge rank. There are no barriers other than your good sense and your wisdom not to be spammy and to make sure you're speaking as a human being and not as an advertising machine. Content marketing, again, Google Plus is a blog-like platform in the sense that you can format your blogs. There's really no limit in terms of how long you want to go. It's very image friendly, and as we'll see later, it's very keyword and SEO friendly. And the last reason, of course, was I told you so. So, okay, let's next one.
Bold that next time, Ray. Don't just put it in italics.
What's that?
I said you need to bold that statement, not just put it in italics.
Yeah, Mr. Bossy.
Yeah. Okay. So. SEO, you want to be found. I love puns. Okay, so complete your profile. Hopefully you won't look like Gloria, Swanson, but it's very, very important that your profile is complete. Not only because we want to know who you are, and no one's going to follow you if you have a blue head and you have nothing in your profile to let us know what you're interested in, but because, again, you won't be found if those keywords aren't there. If what you do is not there, what your interests are is not there. Your photo here is actually a Google account photo and not specific to Google+. That's the photo that follows you wherever you are on the Google platform, whether it's YouTube, Gmail, etc. So yeah, so you have to remember that Google treats Google Plus profiles and pages just like websites. So whatever you put there, make sure you optimize. And this is an example of what happens in terms of networking. And if you're new to Google Plus, you want to reach out and make as many friends or plusers as possible. This is a hover card. So when someone puts their mouse over your photo or your name, this shows up. And this information underneath the photo with the guy with the big smile it appears on your hover card. For instance, your tagline right here, the Google Plus equals Business Plus, includes some personal profile and some business stuff as well. And there's other places on your About page that shows up. For instance, your occupation is the New Raycom Social Solutions. That shows up there as well. So just by looking at that card, if I got an indication that this guy was going to circled me, I could look at that and probably make enough of a judgment call to circle him back or not. You'll see a lot of times that that's blank, which is a big mistake, missed opportunity. Here's some other links here in terms of filling in your About. These all link to your digital outpost. Again, these are also links going back and forth, so they're all, again, SEO advantageous. Contributor is very, very, very important. We won't go into authorship in a lot of detail, other than this is verification, which means that wherever you put content on the web, Google basically verified that you are the author, and therefore you'll have your photo once you complete the verification process on your search results. Here's an example of a search result. I did just actually recently how to set up lower third. Now I did an article on that a while ago, so I want to see what happens when I did a search on it. And what happened was the first three results. The first one was my blog site, New Raycom. The second was the developer of the lower third, that's Moritz. And the third one was Google Plus posting I did of that post. And you'll see I have the snippet and the avatar on the last one. Google, I should say, loves Google Plus. Well, they should. They're one and the same. So all that to say is that this gets a lot of juice. Now, what I see happened a lot recently, I did a search for my Hangout blog, and I didn't get on the first page. I was surprised. But all my post was on the first page, but they were shared by other people who had more authority than I had, evidently, and I won't hold that against them. So I don't care, as long as my post was there, and the link goes back to my blog site. So it's all about authority. Things that you should know about Google Plus is that it's not how many people you know, it's who you know. It's not the amount of people who circle you, but who you interact with. And that's true across all the social platforms. You want to engage with other influencers, etc. That builds your authority in the eyes of Google. And also it enriches your experience here. So follower count doesn't count, and the +1s has about as much value as likes, which means really not much. It's an acknowledgement that someone saw your post and they fly by and give it a +1. It doesn't mean that they loved it or whatever. But if they comment on it, great. If they share it, greater. That's where the KPI should be in terms of engagement. So I'm going to Mark Traphagen. If you don't circle him, do so. He's the authority. He's SEO and all. He does some brilliant posts. He works at Verante as the digital outreach guy. Also writes for Windmill. But he's basically saying that Google Plus is not a great place to increase your SEO optimization. It's actually a great place to do it. If you're doing an SEO, it should be part of your toolbox. Building networks and communities. This is a familiar look. This is my lunch hangout with my crew. There's Randy and there's Scott. Yeah, business is personal. Google Plus some people think it's a pain because you can't just schedule and throw links on it and stuff, and some people love that. I like the fact that when people post things on Google Plus, I have a sense that they're actually right there, that I can actually, if I comment at the time, I can actually engage with them. And also, it's not anonymous, which means that people that you see, the profiles that you see, are real people. So it tends to be less spammy. Although spam is coming in more and more, especially with the ability for pages to follow anybody. I'm getting some of that myself. So relationships. The whole idea of building networks and going online and building community, of course, is building relationships. And relationships build trust, and people do business with people they trust. So every touch point on Google Plus, from this whole menu down, is an opportunity to build relationships. It's pretty well, evident here. I mean, the profile is your story, and again, content is about stories. Pages is your company story. Events is kind of a party conference room. That's where you kind of rent a space, have an event. Everybody gathers there. They share photos and the event, whether it's a hangout or a real life event. You can put it on your event page and take it outside. Again, take photos from wherever you are, share it on the event page so everybody has a place to go to. Knowledge exchange communities, amazing. I love communities. It was a bit crazy when it first started. But this is where you really focus your circles and your lead generation. You find those places that share your interest, and you get into some really focused discussions. Hangouts, that's what we're doing today. Next best thing to being there, and I think if you speak with someone, you can see their face and their reactions. That's such a bonus to building a relationship. Explore, I don't go there a lot. It's kind of a serendipity pool. It's kind of, you don't want to follow the same circles all the time and go to the same communities all the time. Once in a while, I'll check out my wall and see what the general stream is. And sometimes you'll find some really interesting stuff. So it's good. It tends to be a bit trending, and I'm finding it can be gamed a bit. Local is your storefront. If you had business places before, you can bring in and merge all that with your Google Plus page. Again, you can only do that if it's actually a local location or place. You can't do that if you're a service at the moment. And of course, the photos is your album. You'll see all kinds of photographers on Google Plus because it's so image friendly. So I'm going to give you some Google tips because you want some takeaways, right? So, content. It's just like a blog, but it's not yours. So there are some people here, some really big profile guys, who decide to switch to Google Plus for their blog platform. I think that's a mistake. As Chris Brogan says, it's kind of like going into a hotel, spending thousands of dollars renovating it and redecorating it and then leaving on the weekend. It's just not your place. Don't spend and invest a lot of time here, although there's a lot of advantages for that in terms of SEO and stuff. You want to send links back to your blog. Your blog is your identity online. Take advantage of the formatting and editing. It makes your blog post look a lot better, but also adds to your SEO. So you have the bold, italic, and strike through. Use images. Here's a tip. When you're sharing a link or a post that you've seen, or even yours from your blog, grab the photo first, import the photo so it's nice and big and it anchors your post. Write a nice, bold, keyword-friendly heading, and then do a commentary on why you're sharing that and maybe a short summary. with obviously a link. Read for more information or whatever. Read the full post here with a short link to it. That's a nice Google Plus post. It grabs attention because the image shares a link to the original site, whether your site or someone else's, so they'll thank you. And it gives you a voice and not just a share a link. Here's an example. This is one I shared a while ago, and this is kind of what I try to do most. I don't always, because sometimes I'm rushed, and I do sometimes just share a link. But this is what I like to do, and that is I took the photo from Laura Spencer. If you don't follow her, she writes a lot about freelancing. She's excellent. I don't know how she writes so much. I took her photo from her blog post. I uploaded it. I put a bold heading on top with a link to her blog post. Why? This is why I shared it, and then I gave a short summary. If I had to criticize this, and I don't do this anymore, I would put breaks between those paragraphs because it's one big block of text, and that's not a good thing. So we have title tag, link, summary, cat photo for bonus points because everybody loves cat photos, right? Yeah, I thought so. Circles. Basically, it's your personal and business CRM system. Don't be a circle slut. It's not about the amount of people that you circle or who circles you. That's not the point here. The point is the richness of your engagement, of the people that interact with you. And on a business side, obviously, it's lead generation. So if you manage them properly, it's better to have just a few than cast your net too wide. It's a very personal thing. It's like file organization. I mean, it's up to you how you want to do this. I use it differently between my profile and my page. On my profile, I tend to follow groups of interest, like other social media people or people who are into the outdoors or fellow Montrealers or clubs that I belong to. On my page, it tends to be towards engagement. So if someone starts to follow me, then I'll put them inside of a very general engagement circle. And then if I notice that they share or plus one me fairly often, I move them up in the circle until they get to the AAA or the can't miss circle. And then you know you're a star. Share circles is a really nice feature in Google+. It's a way of taking, like, say, my can't miss circle and sharing it with people that I like and think that will have value from that. But I treat it like LinkedIn, meaning I do not share a circle and put people in that circle that I can't vouch for. So I don't fill my circle with a whole bunch of people. Unfortunately, people try to game the system here with that and share these circles like 500 people, and other people share them, and then they'll circle everybody in that circle in hopes of getting more. It's kind of a Twitter thing. It doesn't help you. Again, it's that whole numbers versus quality thing. Google Plus communities. This is my Google tips and topics, my subscriber community. It's a great feature, but it does take work. It's almost it's almost like its own social platform in and of itself. Tips before you create one, know what you're going to do with it. What level of privacy you want. There's 4. There's 2 privates and 2 publics. One private is not searchable. That means nobody can find it unless they're invited. The other private level is searchable, and someone, if they find it, can ask to join, but it's definitely the moderator's decision to let them or not. The public one, same thing. Public is searchable. Anyone can join. If you find it, you just jump in. The other public level is that everybody can find it, but a moderator has to allow you in. Build it around your passion, because it's going to take time to nurture. Like anything, the social is a marathon and not a sprint. Make sure you fill the about section so that people know what the rules are and what the community is all about, so that they're not just link dumping and being self-promotional. This is where good moderation is really, really important. And the bonus tip is make sure you list the topics, because one advantage that communities has over groups is that you can search within a community based on topics, whether it's an introduction, a resource. For instance, in the tips and topics, we can talk about there's a hangout topic, a discussion topic. Make sure those are up to date. And also a nice addition just recently, I think it was this week, is that moderators, if someone put it in the wrong topic, they can change it. Am I going too fast? I feel like I'm speeding here. I feel like I had like 3 cups of coffee. Google Hangouts. Lots to say about that. I mean, there's blogs and blogs written about Google Hangouts, but basically it comes down to be heard. Even though it's a video medium, the most important thing is that you're heard. Be seen. Don't sit in front of a window. People want to see your face. That's the whole point, right? And be you. I mean, be comfortable. Once you get over the technical stuff and you feel comfortable, be who you are, because that's what your differentiator is. I mean, that's your personality is what sets you apart from everybody and makes you rise and be seen. So you can read my blog post, The Basics of Enjoying Google Plus Hangouts, and I definitely recommend that anybody listening circle Ronnie Bincer, the Hangout helper. He writes extensively on Hangout and YouTube. So that's it. This is my screenshot of my About page. That's where you can find me and all the information and all the links to other places that I exist at. And if you want more tips, go to my blog site at Nouraini.com, fill in the subscribe button, and you're going to get a weekly tip, Google Plus tip, plus a link to my blog post, membership to my Google Plus tips and topics community, and an invitation to our weekly Google Plus Lunch Hangout. How's that for a pitch? All right. That's it, Sherry.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. It was a nice overview. And I want to vouch for Ray's weekly newsletter. I think I told you before that is both informational and it's also very personal. It's like getting a letter from a friend. So I suggest that you subscribe to it because you get weekly tips, and it's always better to get information in little bits and pieces rather than getting so much at the same time. Okay, so anybody has any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Ray.
Yes, Joseph.
Ray.
Yes, Joseph.
Hi. So I'm taking your invitation and I'm jumping in here so I won't be just sitting. Talk a little bit more about balance. Not you, because you seem to be a specialist in Google Plus, but advice. How do you balance time on Google Plus with other platforms that you're involved in, as to quantity, as to prioritization, things like that?
I would, if depending on how many platforms you're on, I mean, I definitely recommend that you don't spread yourself too thin. But Google Plus does need some attention. I would say you need probably through at least an hour a day on Google Plus to do content, to leave comments. I mean, you know, if you're doing a Facebook page and you have a lot of people who like you and a strong community there, you're going to pay more attention to your Facebook page. It's you know, it's where your clients are. So you could do it proportionately and say, okay, well, if 20% of my clients on Google Plus, I'll spend 20% of the time, but it doesn't work that way, because I think Google Plus needs more attention because you can't schedule or you can't automate schedules or posts as easily. And you do have to spend more time because there's so many levels. There's, you know, there's a post themselves, there's the communities, there's the circle management. It's a bit more time intensive.
But how do you, I guess the question is, how do you decide how you spread yourself? How do you decide Google Plus is the place for your purposes?
Oh, wow. I mean, that goes back to the strategy of what you want to do. Again, if you're fairly new to social, and say you're a small business, the clients that I meet, I mean, I recommend I recommend they go on Google Plus, because if they're like a local place, Google Local is a real benefit for them because people leave reviews because they're searchable, they're very searchable, and they can interact with their clients on the same platform. Also, the SEO advantages are really, really strong. If you're a business that already have a good, solid community and they're willing to go to Facebook, that's an advantage because people are more familiar with it, so the learning curve is a lot smaller. People won't be as intimidated going onto Facebook and following you there. So you have to decide, I think, based on who you think your clients are and where they are.
Okay. All right. Well, we hear that one of the reasons that we should all be on Google Plus, excuse me, is because of SEO efforts and the fact that when you have a Google Plus business page, then you can take advantage of the SEO benefits and also search benefits. So would you say that being on Google Plus is almost a necessity?
Oh, I think so. Of course, I mean, I'm biased, but I mean, it's like, yeah, if you're on the internet, I mean, there's no walls here, right? I mean, Facebook is great for what it is, and I work on Facebook and I have clients on Facebook, but it is a walled garden, and there's different rules. So the choice for me is kind of being: do you want to be in a walled garden or do you want to be out in the meadow? I mean, the internet is global. Google is global. It still has over 60% of search, and Google definitely is putting priorities, like it or not, on people who have Google Plus profiles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so almost no matter who you're selling to, who your customer is. What is? I hear a noise coming.
I think it might be our driver and hangout person on the.
Oh.
Sounds like road noise to me.
Fernando, I just muted him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray, can I ask you something? And I would like to echo what Sherry said about your newsletter. It's timely, comes in on Saturday. It's a good morning read on Saturday, and it's been very helpful in how you do that. So you've given a lot of thought in the placement of it, but you certainly give a lot of thought in the content of it. So appreciate it, and anybody who is not receiving that, I'll endorse that as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Randy.
I want to ask you about, and this kind of goes to the conversation that is kind of going on right now, and that is, I mean, you got to, the questions that were posed to you, you got to understand who the client is or what the customer is, and certain ones of these platforms are not really beneficial to all. There's no one size fits all, so it's not a rush, and I think that's probably some of the bruised knees that social media has, was there was a rush to so to speak. But what I have found and I'd like you to address because you are the ordained expert about Google Plus today, so we're going to tap you that way. What do you see as the things that, because and you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, there's a rush to Google Plus now. It's been discovered. And somebody asked me the other day, said, well, isn't it because we kind of signed up on that a long time ago and now we've started going to use it, although there have been inactive accounts? And I don't know that. I've been active on it for a pretty good while and have kind of explored with it. But what I've noticed lately is a lot of people are treating Google Plus much like a Facebook account where they're the memes and all that crap. And what I've seen with it, and the beauty of it is, you can get into these groups, you can get into these circles where you have a deeper dialogue with folks. So you can identify, maybe it's a target audience, maybe it's a customer niche, or maybe it's just a group of colleagues, and you can go into in-depth think tank type conversations where that does not exist on most of the other platforms like Facebook or Path or something like that. You just can't do that. I mean, you try to engage on Facebook and try to carry a conversation very deep, and it just gets, I don't know, jaded in some way. But in Google Plus, it's open to that. And now what I see is a proliferation of that just constant feed posting type thing going on in Google Plus. So I'd like you to kind of, from your perspective, if there's some rights, some wrongs, or the old guard of Google Plus, and it was more of an intellect type platform and wasn't open to the social, but it seems to be more coming into mainstream. So
yeah, so I mean, that's a really good question, because I think I think basically what I'm finding is that there was resistance to Google Plus, and I think a lot of that was the fact that we don't need another platform. But I see as people come on, like any platform, it takes a lot of investment, and if you're going to invest a lot of time, you want to enjoy your time there. And I'm sensing that people are sticking around Google Plus because they find it just a more enriching platform, because there are no limitations. You can follow the greatest minds in the world and actually write on their post and comment and engage with them. That freedom is nowhere else. as far as learning, treating it like like Facebook or Twitter, that's just a learned thing. I think that will change as people respond to that differently on Google+. What you were saying about getting into deep discussions, not everybody wants to, and that's why I don't think everybody has to be over Google+. I mean, Facebook is great, and it's great for what it does. And for me, I treat Facebook as a social platform, truly a social platform. For me, Google Plus is more serious. It's kind of like the bastard child of LinkedIn and Twitter. Twitter in the sense that you can follow anybody you want. You can control how you organize them. It's easier in Google Plus for sure. I can have circles of 3 people and have really deep discussions. I can put a list of my prospective clients in a community or a circle and exchange articles and answer their questions. I can monetize a community if I want to and say, listen, I'm going to have a hangout every week, subscribe here, and you can be part of that community and engage with me through that way. The possibilities are endless on Google+, and I think because it's live and because of what I said earlier in terms of how you build your post with a blog-like appearance, I think that all adds to the experience here. Now, general public is not jumping all over Google+, and they probably won't because they want to be social, and the place to be social really is on Facebook. This is kind of interest-based. Facebook is more social. Someone had said that social is kind of your past, and this is more kind of like, I'm not going to say your future, but present and future. I kind of think I think also in the same, it's like Facebook being your family party or pub, and Google Plus kind of being like a mall or a library where you don't know what exactly you're going to come across, but you're always going to learn something or maybe meet new people.
Well, we drink whiskey and a few hangouts. I mean, it's kind of like
okay.
Another thing, and this is just to add to something that you said during your presentation about how you enhance your shared content by putting a picture there and then drafting something and linking to it. I was in a presentation last week or a couple of weeks ago, and Kim Garce, who was doing something, and she shared a tip about Pinterest, and I guess she's kind of a Pinterest whatever, but she said that when she first got into Pinterest, they were doing all this stuff, and she discovered that exact tip right there, and as soon as she started changing how she was sharing her items, her engagement went through the roof. It went like 500% more. And it was exactly what you're saying about Google+.
Yeah.
Okay, remind us what Ray was saying about, remind us what you were saying. Which slide was it?
I was going back to, let me see if I can find it for you here. It was going back to how you format Google Plus post.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I'll share this with you. This one here as an example. It's where you pull in whether it's your post or someone else's, you pull in the photo, upload the photo, so it's nice and big and it kind of anchors your post. And then you treat it like a blog post. You need a headline, bold title, then a link to the original post, an explanation of why you're sharing it, and then if you want a summary of what's in it, so they can sort of, the content page basically, so that people, it will, as a teaser to get people to go to the post and read it. Again, just I want to make sure you break between those paragraphs, because I don't like blocks of of text, but that's what Randy's referring to. Mm-hmm. And it's a format that's very specific. Again, it's very blog-like and very specific to Google+.
Okay, thank you very much. But that kind of, like Randy said, that kind of formatting could apply to a lot of different social networks. That would work with Facebook too. One thing that Facebook, I feel, has that Google Plus doesn't have, that I think is missing, is the ability of seeing your network's activity into their newsfeed. And that's probably one of the most valuable things that Facebook offers. In that if you share a post and I like it, then the people that are are my friends, at least some of them, are going to see my activity on your page. But on Google Plus, you don't have that. So in that regard, I think that makes Facebook more powerful, in addition to the fact that the whole world is there. So you want to say anything about that?
Yes, I'm sorry. I missed the beginning of that because I was looking at I shouldn't have been, but I looked at the chat thing because Rich had asked me a question about generating new business, and then my mind went crazy for a bit, so I missed the beginning of your question.
Okay.
Would you mind, because you're comparing Facebook to Google Plus, and I missed the beginning.
Oh, I was just saying that one of the things that I see that stands out in Google Plus that is missing compared to Facebook is that on Facebook, when I comment on a post from a business page or another friend's page, or when I like it, my friends get basically get a report of my activity on their newsfeed. So it's a much better way of using that 6 degrees of separation power. But on Google Plus, you don't get that. So if we were going to compare the two, I think that aspect of Facebook is really, really powerful. And also the fact that the whole world is there. And like we talked before, I don't really think I can give my family a good reason to move to Google Plus, because all they want to do is just share news and share photos. So that when you compare the two, it's kind of that's the weakness of Google Plus. But when you think about SEO and being able to find on Google searches, then it's sort of the two, Facebook and Google Plus, seems to be a must especially for business to consumer businesses. Do you think like those two are a must?
First of all, Facebook, it's not a zero-sum game. I mean, it's a plus thing, pardon the pun. I mean, Facebook is Facebook, and it does what it does very well, and it's a social platform. So there's no reason for your family to come over on Google+. Secondly, I don't want an update. I don't want a timeline of what my friends are up to. I do that on Facebook. I don't want to see it on Google+. If someone comments on something on Google+, I get a notification because I've set my notifications for that. If I leave a comment on something, I can choose to follow the whole comment stream, or I can choose to mute it and not follow it. I have control. So I don't see that as a big advantage. As I say, they're different. I mean, all the things that you're saying basically are the social aspect of Facebook, and that's the strength of Facebook. But Facebook, I mean, is again, it's an enclosed environment, whereas Google Plus is open, and Google Plus pages can circle and interact with anybody on Google. You can't do that on Facebook. You know, when I put a post on my Google Plus page, every one of the people that circled my page will see that post unless they blocked it or whatever. You can't say that for Facebook. So in terms of business, I think that Google Plus has the advantage that way. Oh, I want to answer Rich's. Was that okay, Sherry? Did that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
I just want to get back to Rich. He was asking me if what I found in terms of generating new business. I mean, not surprisingly, Rich, all my leads pretty well have come from Google Plus. Which is kind of bizarre because I looked at I don't do this. I mean, it's kind of like a closet clout gawker. My clout says I get all this stuff from Twitter and Facebook, and I'm rarely there. So, but yeah, my leads come basically from Google Plus, second by Twitter.
Okay, great, awesome. Now, I have a few questions. You talked about set SMART goals, and when you talk to business owners, obviously one of their goals is to get more business. So one thing that I see business owners doing a lot here, and I was hoping that they could listen to your presentation, was that it's basically they are using Google Plus as an advertising platform. Some of them just put down their phone number and said, if you need this and this in service, call me. Another one of them takes pictures of what they do during the day for their customers, and they say, another happy customer, another happy customer. So what advice do you have for those business owners to more effectively use Google Plus?
I don't know. I mean, maybe just get off it and pay attention to their business. You know, I mean, if that's what they think building relationships are, then they're not going to succeed on any social platform. And that's not, you know, that's not just Google Plus. But if that's how they treat any platform, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, whatever, good luck to them. You know, again, the whole idea of a social platform is to network and build communities, and you have to be a human being to do that. I think Google Plus gives you all kinds of opportunities to show who you are, but if they don't, what can I say? They just don't get it. They don't understand the social part, and it's not, again, it's not particular to Google Plus. They're probably doing the same thing on all the other platforms.
But how is it? What is the road from showing people who you are until you can get somebody signed up to your business? How long does that take?
Oh my God! I mean, it takes a while, right? I mean, nurturing relationships takes a while. It's a long-term investment. But how do you know? I don't know. It's like real life. I don't see what the puzzlement here is. If someone goes to a conference or goes to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, it's the same thing. You got to find a commonality with the person, open up a conversation, break the ice, get to know the person, get to feel that, okay, he's not a crook, he's not going to stab me in the back. Oh yeah, I got 2 kids who play baseball too. You know, that builds a kind of a repartee, a trust, an intimacy. You take that to another level. Then he's going to say, well, what do you do? Oh yeah, well, I sell these cars. You know, I have this kind of brand, whatever. Oh really? Oh, that's kind of cool. We were kind of in the mood for buying a new car because whatever. I mean, you have to start by being a person. You have to start by being a face. People hate advertising. I mean, we've become so it's become so intrinsic, so ubiquitous to see advertising. And what social media has done is thrown that on its head. You know, people on the street are on their mobiles. They're leading the revolution, as it were. And companies and brands are so back. You know, they're back in the sort of post-war Mad Men era where advertising basically told consumers what they want, what they need. And now consumers are saying, they're talking amongst themselves, and they're talking about brands, and they're talking about you, and they're talking about their own personal needs. And we have the opportunity to listen to that. So if companies don't get that, you either have to do some studying
so let's say you're a business, okay? I think Rich has a follow-up question. So he says, are those leads asking for help with G Plus only, or are they in need of a wider range of support?
That's a good question. Obviously, I'm getting a lot of Google Plus requests to do webinars and talks and consultations. I would say probably the majority of Google Plus specific. I would say 25 to 30% is overall social media strategy.
Interesting.
Okay.
I've got a couple.
Go ahead.
Thanks. I've got a couple of questions, Ray. One of them is, do you think that, where do you think Google Plus is going to, and Hangouts and whatnot, are going to end up? Is it going to be the tide of history and it's inevitable that it's going to be a certain place? And then my other question that's related is there a ticking clock? In other words, it's the wild, wild west. Right now everything is kind of fluid and, there's a lot of, maneuverability. Is it going to kind of settle in, and if you don't get on the bandwagon soon enough, you're going to lose your place on the territory or in the corner that's kind of a prime corner?
Well, I think businesses have an advantage. I mean, if they get on board now, they're going to be early adopters still, even though we're a year and a half or almost 2 years into it. And there is an advantage of having real estate on the platform at the beginning, because it is a long-term thing. The whole investment in social media is long-term. So if you're there earlier, by the time everybody catches up, you're already well established. So that is definitely an advantage. I don't know if it's going to be. I think it'll always be a alternative, because again, it's not social in a strictest sense. For me, it's kind of like the evolution, like a natural evolution of social, because it's so integrated into business apps that we're not talking about a platform just for networking and all that. You can do that, but you can also do business on Google Plus. You can collaborate. I do that a lot. I mean, there's not a day go by that I don't have a meeting on Google Plus, and we collaborate on Google Drive docs, and check project management, that kind of stuff. It's a very business kind of platform, so it's a bit different. We're not, it's apples and oranges a bit with the other social stuff. So I think the social media there, everybody here probably is, kind of maybe tired of hearing about it. I get that sense from people I talk to. Oh, please, not social media. But the guy on the street, it's still new, and we have an obligation to tell them that this opportunity exists for you. So I don't know. I think that Google Plus will always be there. I think it's integrated into Google Apps, and I think as it integrates into actual business applications, social will do that as well in the culture as a whole, and won't be separate. It won't be talking about social media like we don't always talk about the phone. I think it's going to be basically intrinsic to the way you do business, and I think Google Plus has a head start on that because it's already integrated into business.
Maybe we should stop using the word social media, because I think that's kind of that's really
like
become a passé type word. I mean, it is, and I would argue with you, Ray, and say that social has always been part of the Mad Men era. It was always about social. It's just that the delivery has changed from a push to more pull. There's more of an exchange in the vehicles there. But to carry what Scott was asking about Google, I mean, if you think about what Google has and what they're fixing to do, because there's a tremendous amount. If you come back to your local, and anybody that has a website, I always tell my clients, look, yes, you're serving the community, you're serving the city, you're serving the state, but you start operating in the digital space, you open your brand to the world. Okay, there's a tremendous amount of third world countries that do not even have the web yet, and Google's marching in there fixing to open those networks, and when they do, Google will be the spot. So if you're in commerce and you're thinking about that, first place, it's going to be a rush to education to those folks, and it's the opportunity to seize on that. A lot of people, I think, and you deal with it with many people, they're not looking. I mean, when you think about the World Wide Web, they're not really looking at the big picture of the World Wide Web and what's there. Google's one of those people that looks at what's there and what the potential is beyond, beyond your nose, and some people can't get beyond that. So I would say that Google is, they're the shifter. Now back to Sherry. Sherry says, hey, everybody's at face. That's true. You get a billion and a half people. That's a lot of people. A hell of a lot more people out there around the world that are going to be, coming online to various platforms and all that.
Ray, I have, if you could give us a little overview. Let's say you're a new business owner and you set up a business page for yourself on Google Plus. Give us some few steps that you would go through to go from start until circling the right people, finding a lead, and setting up an interview. What would the steps be?
Wow. You want this for free, right?
Cliff note version, mate. Cliff note version. And that's the story you want more. Come see me at newreg.com.
Wow.
And Rich wants to know how to close a lead. It says, how do you prove the ROI of G+? Everyone wants to know the payoff of time, money, and resources. How do you position this? How to close a lead, Ray?
Okay. Well, first, it goes back to the strategy. First of all, what's your KPI? How do you measure your ROI on that? If we're talking leads, it's a long haul. I mean, as I say, the big advantage for Google Plus is the exposure you have and the in being findable, in SEO and stuff. So if I was a new business, obviously open up a page. I'd populate it with a fair amount of posts at first, good content that's specific to your product or your service, but not necessarily about you. I would probably do a search, again, depending on whether you're a local business or you do business digitally, for people that share that same interest, whether it's, again, in your product or service. I would do that by find people on Circle, Google Circle, which is a site. I would probably go into communities because that's where they're more focused. Okay, say I was in granite importation. This is probably a B2B situation. I would go into probably a real estate community, builders, contractors, whatever. See if there's questions being submitted, offer answers to those questions, introduce yourself, put a name to yourself, don't just put the logo on, and build up a relationship that way. While you're doing that, spread your net further and do further searches in terms of location, where you want to do business, identify who your market is, offer your services by linking your post to your blog site or to your website. Again, it's nurturing that kind of network. For me, in terms of leads and closing a lead, I tend to go through the post, comment, establish a relationship. They go higher in my sort of circle funnel. At that point, I maybe direct a post directly to them, which means I don't share it publicly, but to them directly, so it's like an email. Eventually, well, it's an example happened recently. I had done a post about Hangouts a while ago. This person commented on it. I thanked her for the comment. And after a while, we started talking, and she asked some questions about Hangouts. Then I suggested we do a Hangout for her to actually be able to use it. And she represents a company, a service company. Actually, it's in Australia. So it was quite late. So we did a Hangout, walked her through it. She said, well, listen, we do these webinars for our company on a regular basis, and no one knows anything about Google+. So could you? And I said, of course. And we closed it, basically. I mean, there was a contract that was sent, and so that was done. But again, it's a long, and that was a short one, but usually it's much longer. I started on Google Plus in 1st of July 2011, and I'd say my leads didn't happen really until mid-fall. So that's over a year.
Yeah, it takes time. The lesson takes time. So be patient, and really the focus is on building relationships. Now, one thing that came to my attention was that one of the business owners that I circle, he has created business pages for all the different locations for his business. So there's a lot of different business pages for the same business, but they're different locations. Is there a better way to do that rather than having to manage all these different pages for different locations? Because with Facebook, you can do geo-targeting. But I don't know if you can do that with Google+.
One business with different locations. Some stores actually have different pages for different departments inside their store.
Wow.
So again, that takes a lot of strategy, because you have to get people to that particular page. The issue comes into when you want to merge your places with your Google Plus page. That gets really messy when you have multiple locations, and it's really, really troublesome. So I wouldn't recommend people do that. No, I mean, it's just going to be messy. I don't know. I can't think personally. If someone else has some ideas on how to make that any smoother, you treat them as an individual page, right?
Yeah, I think it might be a better idea to set one central page and then create different circles for different people in different regions. So you give customized messages from your page to different locations.
Or you're saying either or? I thought you had mentioned that they already had various pages already set up for each location.
They have. I'm just saying a better way to do it is to have one central headquarter page and then share content to different circles based on their locations.
Yeah, if they're not customizing their service to their location, you can do that very easily, and I would suggest that'd be a smarter thing to do.
But
meaning, if you're not offering different things in different locations, if it's the same offer, if it's the same product and store, but in different geographical areas, then you can do it from one page, and then send people to either communities or circles.
Communities or circles, okay, because when people, I guess one of the reasons I'm thinking they would do that is that when people do a Google search, let's say on their Places mobile app or on the desktop app, they want their location to show up.
Yeah,
But
but
then
they can still register a business place for that location.
okay, so that's a different thing. I thought that was going away.
No, well, you can still have business space. You just won't merge it with your Google Plus page.
Okay, so there are still business place pages.
They're called local still. They're changed from Google Places to local, but they can exist. They still exist regardless if you've merged them or not.
I see. So you can have a separate Google Plus business page and then have place pages for each of your locations?
You can register your places, call places before. Yes. You don't have to merge them into your Google Plus.
Okay.
But once you do, they're merged, but you don't have to.
Okay, so the better way is to have a headquarter business page and then register your places with Google, right?
It'd be economical in time and probably money, yeah.
Yeah, because it takes resources to create content for those stuff and manage them. It's time consuming.
I like a local page to be local. I mean, I'm kind of, my gut says to keep the pages where they are in different geographical area, because then people have a local place and a local page. And because when you merge your place, your place with your Google Plus, there's interaction that happens, right? They can leave a review, you can answer questions, and that just happens if you merge. If you don't do that, then you're basically doing a search with a Google map.
Okay, so what's the best way to do it now? I'm all confused.
Depends on the company's resources. My personal thing, I would say keep your places, keep those locals, and then merge them with business pages with your Google Plus page.
So you can merge more than one place with a business page?
Theoretically, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's too new.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Someone had a question I want to I think it was Joseph.
Joseph, yeah, it's on the chat box.
You're asking me about family. Is he gone?
Yeah, he says I need to go, but you can answer his questions and then I can share the video.
So he basically said that I had said that I have a family circle. Do I run both personal and business page? One of the things that attracted me to Google Plus was that I had a big problem with Facebook managing my personal and my business one, because you're kind of, even though I don't have a lot of friends on Facebook because I'm very picky, but it gets messy.
Oh, I feel special.
Yeah, it gets messy because I don't like to include peers in my family and friends thing. But when they ask, you kind of feel like, oh, you're going to like piss somebody off if you don't accept, right? So it was hard to manage that. On Google Plus, I can do that very, very, very easy by circles, right? I can send stuff by circles and business. So before we even had business pages and communities, I was able to manage both those sides. Now, I have to say that I didn't have many friends on Google Plus, so it wasn't a real big issue. Or family, you know.
But can't you create lists and share to specific lists on Facebook? I just think people don't use it as much. Maybe
exactly. It's not as easy.
Intuitive, yeah. It's there. The functionality is there, but Facebook does such a bad job of explaining to people its platform.
And the icon is so small in your little dialog box. People don't even see it, whether it's a globe or whether it's like two little silhouettes. I found that was the big attraction for me at the very first with Google Plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what I like about connecting to people with Google Plus is that it forces you to designate people to a specific category, so you're forced to organize your connections. So that's one thing I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
I think one of the things that gets kind of mixed in the sauce a little bit with social platforms and all that is just like this discussion. It's how can we serve our clients so they can benefit and make money. But most of these platforms are not built for that. They're built for they're built for the social aspect. They're built for idea exchange. They're built for whatever you do it. And you got to look at some of these brands. I mean, you hear the mantra all the time that nobody's doing it right, or this guy's doing it wrong, or whatever. And there's some big box brands out there that are having great success. Now, their success might be because they did something on a a photo sharing type app, or they did something on a Facebook campaign or something like that. But there's no one size fits all. I don't think. I mean, it just depends on, if you're going to do some kind of let's share a recipe thing. Well, where would that fit? And you would think about a Pinterest type thing. If that's what your business is. But the immediate rush to Facebook, and because you got such a big thing, I mean, Facebook, like you were saying, Ray, it's a little bit, and it's got a hell of a lot of intuitive features in there, but figuring out how they work, basically what I find in Facebook, I see a lot of businesses there, but I see a lot of family photo sharing, and that's what it's intended for. That's the social aspect, So you got to, step back and think about those platforms a little bit, Sherry, in that how, there is no one size fits all, and there's no one, just because Coca-Cola did this campaign over here and it worked, doesn't mean my local state or whatever guy is going to work for them. It's just one of those things, and it's an advertising type push. How you gonna embrace? There's tremendous. I think one of the greatest things going on right now that you see a tremendous amount of stuff coming out of is Instagram. There's some people rocking it on Instagram. I'm talking about brands like J. Crew and all that. They're doing, and what they're doing is they're turning it over to their potential customers or their customers and allowing them to use their space, to promote their brand.
Ray, you're now probably business owners are telling themselves, "Oh no, another platform I have to learn."
Oh, I think they found it. I think a lot of people. I mean, you think, and we've talked about this year. I think a lot of them have found those platforms. That there is an endless supply, and I think if we take a deep breath and let our air out altogether, there'll be another one that pops up at the end of that. But they're coming left and right every day. But like Ray said, you cannot. I mean, Facebook's got a billion people. Google's got the SEO. That's where you got to be. I mean, there's something there that you got to think about. But from a branding standpoint, if you're doing an individual type push or something, to me, Facebook is the yellow pages. You got to be there. You got to have a page there. Do you need to be active on it every day or every week or something? You got to have some kind of push there, but you don't need to, you don't just need to be chasing the donkey tail all the time.
There's something that, Randy, you had mentioned before as well. I mean, Facebook ultimately was not designed to be an advertising platform. It is now a media company, but I think the advertising is probably the one bug that everybody has a problem with Facebook, because they're paying more and more attention to advertising, especially since they've been public. But there are 4 platforms that are going to be here, I think, to stay. I mean, I say that, with the MySpace ghost not that far behind, but I mean, there's going to be Google+, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Those are your kind of 4 pillars that, as any business, you have to have some sort of platform on. And I'm not counting blogs, because I would say that's the 5th. That's just kind of the sun where all these should be orbiting around. So I think people have to pay attention. I think what the problem is that we sold social media at the beginning as a very easy thing to do and cost effective. And the problem is, for most companies, they have to hire someone. They need a coach, manager, whatever. They can't do it themselves. So it's up to those coaches, consultants, etc., to say, hey, this is a situation where I could use Instagram on this particular campaign, much like a advertising campaign, but it's where social and advertising kind of go together. The actual platform, the advertising platform, exists on someone's social space. That's the difference. And companies that do it well understand that, and they let the client and the consumer run with it. They provide the platform, they provide the resources, and say, hey, go take some photos, and dump them on our site, and it'll be kind of fun. We'll have a whole talk about it and stuff, and a conversation about it. They're using it wisely that way. The ones who don't get it.
As you said earlier, Ray, people don't like advertising because they don't like to be sold. That's the old adage. That's true. The shift in doing what you just explained is they're still being sold to, because they're building an affinity with that brand that's allowing them, for whatever reason, a vanity. I got my picture put up by Dunkin' Donuts or whatever it is. You build an affinity audience out there.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, it's advertising. Yes. Is it as disruptive advertising? Is it like spots and banners popping up? No, because there's no engagement in those. This is at least engaging. You are, you know, and people do some, you know, want to. It's a vanity thing. They want to see their photo on someone else's site. If I'm on Campbell's Soup site with my photo, but that's been the case since the 40s, right? They used to have those campaigns back in the 40s. So it's basically advertising. But what platform? For me, I mean, I think I'm not sure how far we are into the program, Sherry, but I mean, I think Google Plus is a serious, more business platform in the sense that for the buck, if you're going to invest in something, again, you want to be found. The adage that there's nobody here is such a, please. I mean, yes, there's a billion people on Facebook, but do you know all those people individually? Are you able to reach all those people individually? What's more important are the people that you can reach. And with the Google Plus, people can find you, and you can do that because there's no barriers to you reaching out to anybody on any channel inside Google Plus or on the internet. Because people can reach me, even if they're not on Google Plus, by doing a search for one of my Google Plus articles. And if it pops up, they can comment on that. They can reach me even if they're not on the platform. The world is my oyster.
You know, that's a good lead-in for a comment. You know, listening to you, it sounds as if, you know, you're describing, you know, food and recipes, and, you know, they're the staples of the, you know, the four major platforms that you talked about, and then their garnishes and their recipes, and, you know, so, you know, it sounds like there's a good analogy between that, and, you know, people have needs for different nutrition and have aspirations for different recipes, and it's, you know, how you put it together. Would you comment on
something like to the effect of Rich's comment? He said that that's dead on. He was talking about Randy's comment. That's the line of question I have. I feel at a disadvantage recommending a platform like G Plus until I can cost justify it. And sometimes justifying the cost for something, it comes into how much time and money you save. For example, when I compare Google Plus with Facebook page, I feel like it's easier. It's just the platform make it a lot easier to find my target market, which are business owners looking.
Well, I'll just inject this before Ray answers that. If a business is operating today, and a lot of us touch these businesses that need this. Okay, primarily you need to have a blog. Ray mentioned that, and you're distributing your blog in whatever manner across social. Maybe you're on Tribe or whatever. But if you're not on G Plus sharing that blog post, then you're losing out with some search engine juice. Is that not correct, Ray?
Oh, I mean, I have examples. I mean, I can tell you, even though, you know, my blog is doing better, thank you very much. When I posted on Google Plus, it takes off, and it takes off both in searches, you know, and through Twitter. I can see all the lines on my Google Analytics where they come from, and Google Plus is the top reference source point for my blog post and my writing.
That justifies the cost to any business right there. Certainly.
I mean, I would say, how do you justify Facebook? I mean, there's enough studies that say the conversion rates on Facebook aren't that great. But if conversion is not your primary, you know, KPI, then you say, okay, well, whatever you set out as your goal on Facebook, if it's amount of likes or engagement, you know, it's the same thing applies to Google Plus. I mean, you have to set out your own definitions of what success are before you can justify it.
Okay. Okay. Are you satisfied, Rich? Because I think the discussion with respect to cost-benefit analysis, I mean, to be able to justify it, a lot of times you can justify it by showing that it costs less to do something. And a lot of the benefit that social media brings, I think, can be classified under saving time and money to get a particular thing done, as opposed to traditional marketing.
There's so many variables, really. I mean, I know of a store here, an entrepreneur who does very well with Facebook, because that person has built up a real strong community. She does very well. So I mean, and she's not going to succeed probably in Google Plus. It's not her kind of community because she deals with artifacts and that kind of thing, and it's very tangible. And there's a whole mummy blogger kind of community built around it, and it's very Facebook-y. So again, you have to look at, I think, at the industry that you're talking about, or the kind of business that you're talking about.
Well, thank you very much, Ray. The people that do our grassing area have come back. I usually do these things around lunchtime so they don't make noise. So there's going to be a lot of noise in the background. Does anybody else have anything to say? Any more to say? No?
Well, thank you, Sherry. And again, if everybody's interested in getting some tips, by all means, go to my blog site and subscribe for the tips, because you don't only get the tips, you get to be part of our community.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for being here. I have a few pieces of news if you'd like to stay around and see. Just probably you've heard some of them, but maybe our audience haven't. This is part of the news sharing that I do every week. Okay, so do you see it? Do you see my screen? Oh, okay.
Yep.
So what's new in social media and what does it mean for you in the past week? And some of the news that I caught are as follows. Google, there is this amazing customer journey interactive tool that you can find in this link. I'm going to post this presentation on SlideShare, and maybe I can share the link in the comment section of the video on my profile. And basically you go in there and you choose an industry, and then it shows you an interactive tool based on the Google data that Google has. How close is the interaction of a customer to a marketing channel with respect to making a sale? So what kind of marketing channel is closest to making a purchase? It's really, really neat. And I have a screenshot in the next page. I don't know if you can see that well or not, but here's a menu. For example, I've chosen the finance field in the US, and this is email, social, paid search, referral, other paid direct, and this is the shopping cart. So basically, it's an interactive tool, and it changes for each industry. It's really cool, and it also has instructions as to how you can set this up and monitor this for your own business. Then LinkedIn has created a mobile app which is called Contacts, and it allows you to enter your contacts and monitor your recent conversations with your connections, keep track of your recent meetings and notes with them. It's basically a mini CRM for you, and it's going to be rolled out to some people in the beginning and then to everyone. You can find out more about it on contacts.linkedin.com and submit a request for an invite. Then TweetDeck Mobile is going away on both iOS and Android, so there's not going to be any more TweetDeck Mobile app because as of May 7th, and basically Twitter has said that in their experience, most people use Twitter on their mobile apps using the Twitter app itself rather than TweetDeck, and the TweetDeck users usually use it on their PC. So that's why they're taking it away. So if you like what you heard, please +1 the video or like the video and share it. If you'd like to give us feedback, please follow the link bit.ly/feedback_SM and let us know what you think of our workshops. If you'd like to give a presentation or have a question, please do so. So I am going to go back to screen share. And I'm back. So thank you again for everyone for supporting OpenSM. Please subscribe to Ray's newsletter. He does a fantastic job giving you weekly tips. And I thank Ray again for giving us his busy time. And Rich says that he has already subscribed. Yay. So, for next week, I don't have a speaker planned, but I will be sharing my regular updates, news updates. And then the week after, we're going to have a presentation about social CRM. So until then, I bid you Farewell. Bye. Thank you for coming.